In their new house, Yunsu and Chaya were bickering over the dirty dishes. Chaya insisted she would do them later, but Yunsu argued that she should wash them immediately after eating. She complained that they didn't even eat real food, so why did it matter? Yunsu replied that he still needed to drink water and questioned how she could just walk past the mess without caring. Gerim, witnessing their argument, sighed and asked if they were fighting again. Both of them turned to him instantly, and Chea called him over. Gerim hesitated, thinking he should have just left quietly. When Chea asked him to pick a side, he chose her, finding the whole situation childish. Chea smirked and mocked Yunsu, who, irritated, asked why Gerim was siding with her, calling him Park Gerim. Gerim nonchalantly responded that he wasn't a park. Chea then remarked that if it bothered Yunsu so much, he could just wash the dishes himself. Yunsu scoffed at the idea, but in the end he angrily did them while muttering complaints about both Chaya and Gerim. Meanwhile, Gerim asked Chaya to go swimming. It had been 10 days since they arrived on the island, yet she still didn't even know exactly where they were. Every day felt the same, with nothing to do, and she wondered if she could keep living like this. While lost in thought, she accidentally scratched her elbow on a rock. As soon as Gerim noticed her blood, his eyes turned yellow, and he quickly left in a panic. Chea sighed, wondering why they both acted like idiots when it came to her blood. One ran away, while the other... She stopped her thoughts there. Lying down, she recalled how Yunsu had asked her about how father was injured, but she hadn't told him. She decided to keep it to herself in case Yunsu broke his promise, since she still didn't trust him completely. Eventually, she fell asleep there. But when she opened her eyes again, she saw Yunsu staring down at her from above. She asked how he found her, and he simply said it was because of her blood. When she turned to look at him, she noticed his eyes had turned yellow. Without warning, she splashed water at him. Yunsu asked what she was doing. She replied that she was waking him up since he always lost control when he saw her blood. Yunsu asked if she would prefer that he just bite her instead. In response, she pushed him into the water and walked away, saying she would give him blood when he was hungry, but not whenever he wanted. Yunsu sat there in the water, thinking about what she had just said. Later that night, while Chea was sleeping in her room, she suddenly opened her eyes slightly and saw Yunsu sitting in front of her bed. Startled, she asked what he was doing there. He calmly replied that he was there for his meal. Chea asked what he meant, and Yunsu reminded her that she had told him to come when he was hungry. Then he grabbed her by the face and pushed her down. Chea remembered that Gerim had told her vampires only needed to feed once a month, but it had only been 10 days since Yunsu last drank. As he leaned closer, she quickly pulled out a knife from under her pillow. Yunsu easily stopped her and asked when she even got it, and she replied that she couldn't live with him without something to protect herself. Yunsu told her the knife was useless and mockingly told her to go ahead and try. Then he threw it away, saying that this was what they had agreed on. But Chaya argued that it didn't seem like he was actually hungry. He was just doing this because he wanted to. Yunsu told her it was because he had smelled her blood that he became hungry. Chaya was startled by how serious he sounded. She told him to wait, then cursed at him. He simply asked, "And?" leaving her shocked at his shamelessness. Then she asked for a drink, saying she couldn't do this sober and that it would make her less afraid of him biting her. He agreed, and she asked for the glass to be filled to the brim. As they sat together, Chaya asked if vampires got drunk when they drank. Yunsu told her no, and she got annoyed that she would be the only one getting drunk. He pointed out that it would be dangerous for her if he got drunk, and she agreed. Then, before drinking, she warned him not to suck all her blood out. After that, she gulped down the whole glass in one go and immediately got drunk. In her drunken state, she called Yunsu and told him to drop dead. He stood up, saying that he wasn't going to wait any longer, but Chea said that she found it funny that he had actually been waiting for her. This surprised Yunsu himself, and he stopped. Then she turned her face toward him and asked why he was staring at her. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a gray-haired man was talking on the phone. A voice on the other end asked if he had found them. The man replied that it wasn't easy to find someone who didn't want to be found, but told the caller to have faith in him. Then his face was revealed. He was talking to Father. Father asked what he had found so far, and the man replied that it might take some time, as they seemed to be very skilled at staying hidden. Father ordered him to report anything he discovered immediately, and not to keep him waiting. Then he turned to Rose and asked if she was upset that he had sent Leo to Korea. She replied that she didn't care. While shaving, Father accidentally nicked his cheek, and to his annoyance, the wound didn't heal immediately. Rose told him to focus on healing his body and then left. Meanwhile, in Korea, at Yoon-soo's mansion, Leo, the silver-haired man, wondered who could have done this to Father. If there was a way to hurt Father, he wanted to know about it. But first, he needed to find Park Yoon-soo. However, no matter how much he searched, he couldn't find a single trace of him in the house. It was as if Yoon-soo was living like someone who could disappear at any moment. Back in Chea's room, Yoon-soo stared at her, thinking to himself that this wasn't about looking at her. She was simply a way for them to avoid leaving bodies behind. There was no need for hypnotizing or kidnapping. She was a living blood supply. He smirked, realizing that for a vampire in hiding, this was the most important thing, and she was exactly that. Chea finished the rest of the wine and walked over to Yoon-soo. She told him that she was ready. As she stood very close to him, he assumed she was going to kiss him like last time, and remarked that she was really drunk. He thought to himself that it wasn't a problem and leaned in. When he kissed her, she tried to say something, but he didn't care and kept going. Then she pushed him back slightly and told him that she had agreed to let him take her blood. But what was he doing right now?